Don't really know where else to post this, so here. Be me 17. Going to stay with my uncle who owns a ranch in Idaho for the winter. Parents are older and had me in their late 40s, so my uncle, Dad's big brother, is close to 60 and more like a grandpa than anything. He's been married and divorced twice and has been living alone for almost my whole life. I live in Mesa, Arizona, so the drive was really grueling. My uncle picked me up in October last year. He's super tall, a real big guy with a massive beard. He's pretty chill, but really rough looking. His ranch is in the middle of nowhere, with no neighbors for miles. When I got there, it was kind of exactly what I thought it would be, super old school and run down looking. Driving in, I noticed he had a long line of rocks lining the end of his property that were all painted white. I asked him about them, and he told me he'd tell me in a minute. As soon as we got in the house, he told me there were rules when staying with him, and if I broke them, he would have no problem driving me all the way home. Said I couldn't go out any time after sundown without him under any circumstance. At night, I needed to have my curtains drawn and all the lights off, and if I needed light, I had to use a candle that he kept next to my bed. Then he took me outside and pointed out to the white rocks. He said that the rocks went around the entire property and have been there even before he lived there. Told me to never, ever go over the rocks or anywhere far from the house without him. I was kind of spooked and asked why, but all he said was there are always coyotes and they'd kill me. First night was fine except for the crappy bed. Next day he asked me if I wanted to have fun and took me out back to shoot. A few weeks go by fine, just hanging out, having bonfires, shooting and helping him on the property. End up getting into pretty decent shape helping him. Then in the middle of November we woke up to find a dead deer in my yard. My uncle flips his lid, grabs me and puts me in the house and starts to lock all the doors and windows up. Tells me to grab my stuff and keep it near the door. I ask him what the hell's going on. He doesn't tell me. He has me sleep in the living room on a pull-out couch while he sleeps in his chair. Next few days it's like he's a different person, super paranoid and on edge. End up sleeping in the living room for a week until he chills out and all is calm again. Thanksgiving comes around and he cooks up a turkey he had frozen and a bunch of other stuff. We stuff ourselves and he even lets me have a few beers. We're chilling by the fire, talking about the time he got into a fight with the guy over his ex-wife while listening to his old records, when a bunch of loud noises come out of nowhere. We both shoot up. He runs for the door. I follow after him and end up running full speed into the back of him and falling over. He stopped at the door and started locking the locks. I thought he was running outside, so I ran full speed. He tells me to grab his shotgun. I'm freaking out at this point because my giant of an uncle is freaking out. Loud noises outside, like barking, yelling, and someone hitting a metal trash can all mixed together. Then a window breaks. A massive rock was thrown through it. It was one of the painted white rocks. I'm freaking out now. My uncle shoots out the window. My ears are ringing and I'm crying at this point. He yells to grab the table and put it against the window. I put it against the window and he runs to his room. He comes back out with his rifle and hands it to me. Tells me if I see anything to not hesitate and shoot it. I ask him if we should call the cops, but he says they wouldn't be able to get to us for a few hours. All night we sit in the living room listening to whatever this thing is destroy the porch and pound on the door. As soon as the sun starts to come up, my uncle goes to the door and starts to unlock it. I start to freak out. What the hell are you doing? What if they're still out there? He rips the door open and there's nothing there. I'm absolutely crapping my pants thinking of all the stories I've read about monsters and skinwalkers and all that. The door is absolutely destroyed. Super scratched up, chunks missing. The porch has pieces missing and his truck has all the windows smashed and tires shredded. Looks like a bomb went off. My uncle looks around and sighs. I ask him what the hell was that. He looks at me and tells me there's a gang that comes around and does this kind of stuff to people's houses. A gang? Why are you lying to me? He tells me to shut the hell up and relax. I don't believe him and I can see he's kicking himself for telling such a terrible lie. I go to take a picture of the door on the outside and he grabs my phone and says no. I ask him why and he tells me if Mother saw what happened, she would rip his balls off. He tells me to relax and it's okay. We clean up the porch and he has me help him replace his tires with a few old ones from the shed. We limp the truck back into town to get replacement tires and ask about the windows. Everyone in town is staring at us like we just drove in a clown car. It's a small town with a cafe/diner, a gas station and a mechanic, a general store and a motel. Everyone knows each other for the most part. The gas station clerk comes out and starts to talk to my uncle. The clerk and my uncle are talking quietly and I can see the clerk is upset. I overhear him say, "Well, what did you expect? It's getting worse, man." Okay, what the flip? He takes me back to the house and tells me that the gang is real, but they're more like vandals and tweakers. Still don't believe him, but I act like I do. That night my uncle was surprisingly calm and told me they wouldn't come back 2 nights in a row. The night was calm except for this weird electric feeling in the air, like the whole place would blow up if the littlest thing happened. I woke up really late to my uncle snoring in his chair. I had to pee super bad. The fire had died out, so I used my phone light to make my way to the bathroom. The bathroom is super small with a tiny window at the top of the back wall behind the toilet. I get to the bathroom and turn the light on to pee. While I'm peeing, I start hearing this weird noise, like the tiniest scratching sound. I quickly realize it's coming from the window. Then it turns into tapping. I'm so terrified I'm just frozen there. If I wasn't already peeing, I would have peed my pants. Then it hits me. Then I realize that I messed up. I turned on the light when I'm supposed to be using a candle. I'm shaking at this point. The window breaks and the glass hits me. Screaming, I back out of the bathroom, peeing all over my legs and pants. I didn't even look at the window. I just ran down the hall trying to pull my pants up. My uncle runs around the corner and grabs me. He yells what happened. I struggle to tell him. He sees the light on in the bathroom and runs and shuts it off. He yells I thought I made it clear about the lights at night. I'm crying and digging through my duffel bag looking for a new pair of pants. The next day we leave and he drives me home saying it would be safer there. Told me to not tell my parents because they would freak out. He stayed at the house with us for a few days and eventually we both chilled out again. I turned 18 this February and recently bought my first handgun and want to eventually go back and see if he will let me take pictures or set up a camera. I don't know what to think since he won't tell me anything about what happened. It's not like the stories where you hear talking or whispering. It was just violent, whatever it was. Does anyone know anything this could have been?